Welcome to Gentle Restorative Yoga. My name is Sandra, and I would love for you to just close your eyes and direct your focus to your breath without altering it. And then ever so slightly, deepening the breath, giving it some depth, some texture. And perhaps on each inhale, you choose to deepen the breath just a tad more. I don't want to hurry the process. I don't want to jump from we just started on our mat to fill the lungs completely and hang on to that air, right? So very gradual deepening of the breath. And in that way, I'm hoping that you can recognize where you're feeling the breath move into as we do allow that breath to be more expansive. Breathing in and out through the nose right now. And when you feel like that inhale has pretty much reached capacity, I want you to hold that breath. You decide when you're exhaling, but make it a cleansing exhale through the mouth, nice and loud. Each breath is a completely new experience, and each breath, well, can you imagine that each breath has its own story, right? Maybe that last exhale was like, yeah, she really took advantage of using her lungs, and I got to provide, this sense of peace and relaxation. And then maybe a different breath earlier was saying, well, they're not focusing on the breath right now. I'm just in the chest. I'm hovering right here. I can't even offer full benefit. Everything has a story. Each body part has a story. So I need you listening to which parts of the body aren't so happy this morning on the mat, and we accommodate for that, right? Every person you encounter has a story that we cannot ever hope to know in its full capacity. In fact, I often wonder, do we each know our own full story? Or is our story shrouded by our labels and, what's going on externally and distractions? So today our theme is about stories. Take a deep inhale through the nose. Nice loud exhale through the mouth. Take the arms all the way up. Reach through the fingers, pause right here. Drop the shoulders. Sit up nice and tall, but yet draw the stomach in so that we're flattening out the low back. And very carefully, drop the head back slightly so the gaze can look up at the fingers. A couple of deep breaths right here. And when you get to that next exhale, gently bring the palms together, feel the fingers making connection, and keep the gaze on the hands as they lower down to the heart in prayer pose. And then close your eyes. Take all the time you need to set the most amazing intention for your practice and your day. When you're ready, you're going to release your hands, palms down to the knees, so we can sit back and round out the spine in a seated cat pose. You could tip way back. You could lift the knees up off the mat if you want to. And then slowly bring that weight back to center. Sit up nice and tall. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale the right hand down as you find that side bend to the right. Inhale, come back up through center. Exhale, the arms are switching places. Take that side bend to the left. And then come back up. Inhale the arms. Exhale the arms to scarecrow. We're coming into eagle with the arms, Garundasana. So let the hands come together. Right arm is going underneath the left, and then perhaps the forearms and hands wrap around, right? Maybe the backs of the hands come together, or you might find it more comfortable to grab your shoulders. Whatever option you choose, where you're rounding the shoulders forward, keeping the elbows at shoulder height, and breathing into the back space. So Groucho Marx said, if you've heard this story before, don't stop me because I want to hear it again. And I like to use stories to convey messages or to inspire or to elicit a laugh perhaps, or just to give you something to think about. Take a deep breath here. I'm going to let my arms kind of guide me into a twist to the right. And then I'm slowly going to swing to the other side. Find center. The arms are going to sweep apart all the way up to the ceiling. Take them back to scarecrow. Garundasana, left arm underneath the right. Round those shoulders. Elbows are shoulder height. Should be a good shoulder stretch for you. I'm going to slowly take the twist to the left. And then meander all the way to the right. Relocate center, release the arms, sweep them up. And then exhale them behind you into Yoga Mudra so that we can let the shoulders move in the opposite direction, drop the chin. And then very thoughtfully, untangle the fingers, almost one by one if you can. Let the fingers drag on the floor and relax the arms. Let them grow very heavy. You can bring the head back to center. Keep the eyes closed. Focusing on the sensations in the arms. What's the story the arms are telling you? They're glad you're done with all that, move on to the legs, or thank you for paying attention to me. And then opening the eyes, look around, find your strap if you have one. If you don't have a strap, do not worry about it. Don't run off to grab anything, you're fine. We're coming down onto our backs. I want to take that strap around the bottom of the right foot. Send that leg on up. As always, I like to remind you, if the hamstrings are super tight, you might want to keep that left leg bent. If you're okay and you want a little more stretch, take that left leg out on the mat, but proactively push the back of the left thigh down without locking the knee. Let's flex both feet and use that strap to add a little movement for the right leg. Working out some kinks this morning. So I thought I would start with what I thought was a funny story. The story goes that a man is driving down the highway and he's not really paying attention. He's speeding and he sees the police lights behind him and he thinks, oh, I can easily outrun the police car. And so pushes down the pedal, 80, 90, 100. And then his next thought is, no, I can't outrun the police car. And so he pulls over. The officer comes to his window and he says, listen, I have had a really long day and I just want to go home. So if you give me a good excuse, I'm going to let you go. And so the man says, well, a couple of weeks ago, my wife ran off with a police officer, and I thought you might be him trying to return her. I'm just imagining I can hear all your laughter. Let's take this right leg. We're going to bring it into an upside down lunge. So grab the strap with both hands. As the knee bends and you're bringing it down toward the ribs on the right side, we're trying. I know this is hard. When I say trying, it's in quotes because we don't want to push ourselves into doing something just because it's how it might look as you're seeing it in the video or in a book. But we're trying to keep this foot flexed as though it were holding up the ceiling. Can we work towards getting the shin perpendicular to the floor and the ceiling? That's going to be really tricky for a lot of people. If you can't, I'm not worried about it. Let that leg go where it needs to go. Yeah. But if you have that ability, that's what we're looking for. As if you could flip me over, would I look like I'm in a lunge? Breathe here. I still have both legs pretty active. And then I'm going to slowly push that right foot into my strap. I'm going to thread the strap through my hand until that leg is straight again. And then go ahead and pigeon toe the foot. So take the toes to the left, heel to the right. Breathe. And then we're going to turn the foot in the opposite direction. And I don't know about you, but just that subtle change, I can feel it. Definitely can feel it. And I can feel it shifting, you know, where I'm noticing it depending on how the foot is. Let's bring that foot back to center. Look at your toes. Spread them out as wide as they'll go. Angle the pinky toe down towards you. Can you feel that? Take the leg to the left, no more than 12 inches over. And then as that leg goes back through center, hopefully you have room to do this, take that right leg and open it all the way out to the right side, wherever it'll go. Lucky for me, I have the wall to stop me. It's holding me up, which really works in a restorative class, right? Couple more breaths. Feel that right hip opening, hopefully loosening up a little bit. We're going to bring that right leg all the way back up. As I bend the knee, I'm going to release the strap and I'm going to hug that right knee in. So from here, let's take the right hand behind the head. So the elbow is wide open and on the floor. Left hand's going to help you pull the right knee across in a supine twist. That right elbow is still down, right? Take advantage of using the lungs' capacity. Deepen the breath in your twist. And then let's slowly come back to center, release that right hand, hug the right knee in one more time, a gesture of appreciation. Inhale, flex the right foot, send the leg up to the ceiling. Exhale, that leg's coming all the way down to the mat. When it does so, close your eyes. Perfect. So let's rebend both legs, planting the feet. That gives the left leg a chance to let you know where it wants to start out. Your strap is going around the bottom of that left foot. Send that leg on up. Decide if you want to keep the right knee bent or if you want to straighten that leg out. I'm just going to hold right here for a moment. If that left hamstring's super tight, you can massage it out a little bit while you've got the leg close enough to do so. Deepen the breath. And so while we're here, the second story that I wanted to share with you does have more of a message to think about. The first one, not so much. The story goes that there was a man on a horse. The horse was galloping down a roadway. It seemed like almost haplessly, like the horse had a vision. The man didn't seem to know where it was going. And a bystander yelled, "Where are you going in such a hurry?" And the man yelled back, "I don't know, ask the horse." And in that little brief story, the horse represents our bad habits. Maybe I shouldn't say bad. The horse represents our habits and how we allow them perhaps to run away with us. And a lot of those habits, we don't even notice. We don't notice them coming on. We don't notice when they've left. We're so used to letting them rule our path. Go ahead and draw this knee in. Remember, we're coming into that upside down lunge. We're going to hold it here. Both legs are active, so flex that right foot. And so, which of your habits have been running away with you lately? Which habits would you like to change? Which new habits would you like to learn? Not all habits are bad. It's just that oftentimes we don't have an awareness of them even being present. And so, I don't know, maybe stop to think about, well, if this particular habit I have was a horse that I'm sitting on, would I let it take me wherever it wants to go? If you answer yes, then it's probably a pretty good habit and you're kind of happy with it, right? Let's go ahead and push that foot into the strap to re-straighten this leg. Turn the toes inward. The heel will be out, so you've pigeon-toed the foot. Let's hold it right here and breathe. And then go ahead and rotate so that the toes are facing to the left. And then bring that foot back to center. Spread the toes wide. Pull the pinky toe down towards you. And help guide this leg to the right. Not too far. You'll know when to stop. And then bringing that leg to center, taking the strap in the left hand if you haven't already. We're opening that leg wherever it wants to go out to the side. And then go ahead and help this leg all the way back up. As you bend the knee, slip the strap off, hug that knee into the heart. I'm going to take my left hand, bring it behind my head. I'm conscious of that elbow being wide open, touching the earth. Right hand is going to help the knee come into a supine twist. I'm sorry if you can hear all the noise in my house. That is my husband emptying the dishwasher, and no woman in her right mind would ever stop a guy from doing that. So bear with the noises until it's over if you can hear it. And then we're going to slowly release that twist, hug the left knee back in. On your inhale, flex that left foot, stretch the foot up to the ceiling. Exhale, slowly bring that leg all the way down and close your eyes. Take a deep breath here. Let it go as a loud sigh. Allow both legs to completely melt. And then let's go ahead and replant both feet on the mat, prepping for bridge. I want you to close your eyes for a moment. That horse story can be relatable on the yoga mat. We all have some bad habits in certain poses, right? So I want you to see if during our sequence you kind of identify, oh yeah, that is one of my habits I need to work on, I need to change. What would happen if I let that habit run away with me like the horse? How can I rein that horse in? So as you just sit here for a moment with your eyes closed, do you have bad habits in bridge pose? Do you know if you have any? Have we set up the proper alignment? Do you know what that is? And so I want to start with the feet hip distance apart. Generally, the feet are close enough to your sit bones that your fingers can graze the heels. I get it. That isn't going to happen for some people, and that is okay, right? Get those shoulder blades pulled down underneath you. Pull the low back down. Get the entire spine to press down against the mat. You should feel the hips rotate upwards a little bit. And then take your focus to the balls of the feet. That's where we're pushing into the earth. Make sure you do not turn your head once you lift up and bridge. So pushing the balls of the feet into the earth, find an inhale and slowly lift the hips up. We're going to hold it right here. We want to figure out what our body's story is this morning in bridge pose. Are we okay in this pose? Are we tight? Are we completely at bliss? Usually for me in this pose, it bothers my knees, so often I lift my heels to come up higher, and that takes the pressure away. So I want you to think about your story in bridge. The reason you don't turn your head in this pose is because right now all the weight is in the back of the neck. Very easy to tweak something. Keep lifting, keep breathing. Are you happy here? Not your body, you, mentally. Are you happy in this pose? Are you wishing that I would say come down? And if you are, why haven't you already? You don't have to wait for me, it's your practice. Let's take a fabulous breath in and hold it. Loud exhale. Take another inhale. And on this exhale, slowly lower down. If you lifted your heels like I did to protect the knees, the heels will be the last thing to touch. That should feel really good. Hug the knees into the heart. Rock it out. And then go ahead and roll to a side in a fetal position. I want you to linger there for a few breaths before you push your way back up. And when you're ready to make your way up, we're finding some props here so that we can settle into a restorative pose. If you have a bolster, that would be fabulous. I'm going to bring it out behind me. I'm going to take my blocks and prop up the far end of that bolster. You can use one, or if you want to go higher, use both. If you have a blanket, let's open it up. I want to get it kind of into a long noodle, so I've got to find the long edge first. If you don't have any of these props, don't worry about it. You can do this pose laying straight back on the earth. All right. So I've got my blanket into one nice long noodle, if you will. I'm going to sit back so I can feel the bolster against me. And I'm going to take the legs into cobbler, Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together. So because we used our blocks to hold up the bolster, I want the blanket to work at propping up the knees. So somewhere about center of your blanket, just set it right on top of your ankles. And then I'm going to grab one end, wrap it around underneath my leg. If your blanket's super long, like apparently mine is, you might have an extra tail here to double fold that under the knee for extra comfort. And then go ahead and do that to the other side. Once you have that established, go ahead and lay back and close your eyes. So hopefully this feels like a pose that we can give the horse full control. We are that relaxed, the body's happy, it feels supported. And I think while you're relaxing right there, I think I'll share with you my third and final story. So this story goes that there were two acrobats, and one was a widowed teacher, and the other was a young girl. And what they would do is they'd go out in the streets, and the teacher would balance like a bamboo pole on her head, and then the little girl would climb up onto her shoulders and climb up this pole and get up on top, and they would carefully walk through the streets trying to earn enough money to eat. And so one day the teacher said to the little girl, you know, I was thinking, if I focus on you and I watch you carefully, and you focus on me and watch me carefully, then perhaps we might alleviate the possibility of an accident. We might earn more money. But the little girl, who is quite wise, said, actually, if I focus on me, I'm focusing on both of us. And if you focus on you, you're also focusing on both of us. And in that way, we will alleviate accidents and earn more money. So the moral of that story is self-care, that we have to take care of ourselves before we can help others. We've all heard the analogy about the oxygen mask in an airplane, that you're supposed to put yours on first before you help somebody else. It's that same concept. If you are depleted because you're helping everybody else, you in essence become of no help to anyone, right? So what is your method of self-care? Especially, who knows what's going on with our world right now. Some of us are in complete lockdown. Some of us are out in the open doing whatever, a normal routine. And then there's a balance, I guess, of somewhere in between. So for you, in your particular situation, are you still creating a pattern of self-care? Or has that gone by the wayside, right? Think about the people who are used to going to a gym and working out all the time. Have you found a different way to find, invoke fitness, bring it into your world? There's all sorts of different ideas of self-care. We could go on and literally on. Maybe that's a whole other theme. All you got to do is Google. If you can't come up with any ideas, there's so many fabulous, I guess the word is ideas again, on the internet, right? Any form of mindfulness is an expression of self-care. Do not interpret what I said to mean you have to sit down and meditate. That is not what I mean. And I know for a lot of people that's super hard. So mindfulness definitely is an aspect, or meditation is an aspect of mindfulness. But there are other ways that we can fall into that category. So as you lie here in this really restorative and I hope extremely peaceful pose, have you been neglecting your self-care? Or have you been keeping up with it? Or have you been accelerating it? And if you're falling into, I've been neglecting it, I kind of want to focus right there. In what ways? Physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically, come up with an answer. In what ways? Because until you acknowledge that answer, we can't together collaboratively come to an idea or solution, or not even a solution, but just a way of moving forward from that, right? This is one of those classes where it really would help to hear back from you guys, but we can't. And I'm just hoping that, think through some of this stuff. In what ways can we add to self-care? And in fact, what I would encourage you to think about is, are you open to trying something new? Maybe you're great at self-care, but there's so many different aspects of that. I don't know. Do you want to try something new? Are you willing? Or are you just completely happy with what you're doing? You're already practicing self-care right now. You're on your yoga mat. It's fabulous. While we're here, let's take a deep inhale. Hold the breath. Cleansing exhale. Perfect. So let's get the hands underneath us to gently push us back up. I'm going to take this blanket. We're still using it. I'm going to get it out from under my knees. Pick it up, bring it around behind me, and then let the ends of it drape over my thighs. And I'm just going to gently tuck that blanket under my feet just a little bit. We're still in cobbler. We're going to sit up nice and tall. And then go ahead and start to hinge forward. Use your hands to help you walk your way into a fold. Wherever you end up, just close your eyes. So notice where you're feeling this pose. Breathe into that space. It might be the low back. For me, it's the hips. Maybe it's the legs. And then lengthen that spine. Reach the crown of the head to whatever's directly in front of you. And then use your hands to help you all the way back up. Perfect. We'll go ahead and set that blanket aside. We're going to come back to it though, so you won't be separated for long. Let's go ahead and move that bolster out of our way. I do want one block within reach, so keep that handy as you flip on over, come into the table. We're going to find cow pose. Sink the belly, lift the chin. Exhale, round the spine, drop the head into cat. And then come back to a neutral spine. Tuck the toes, downward facing dog, walk it out. So I would think dog is one of those poses where we might find some of those bad habits that run away with us. I just want you to think about your pose. Let's let the legs come to stillness for a moment so that we can break this down. Spread the fingers wide. The wrist crease should be parallel with the front of your mat. Here's where there's going to be a common, I was going to say mistake. It's not a mistake. It's a learning lesson. A common bad habit in dog is to let the shoulder blades pull in towards each other. You need to roll the upper arms outward so that there's space between the shoulder blades. And let's just stop right there. We don't even need to talk about the head placement, the heart, the legs, the hips. Let's just start right there. Deep breath in. Exhale. Drop the knees to the earth and to the width of the mat so that we can rest in Balasana, child's pose. Did you think of any bad habits you want to change yet? So I'm going to really reach that right arm straight out in front of me. I'm going to bring my left arm around behind my low back and maybe turn your head to the left. Now, I want you to be really careful if you don't like this, and if your neck doesn't like this, you probably shouldn't do it. If it's too much weight on the head, keep the head at center. I'm going to slowly stretch my left arm back forward as I take my head to center. I'm switching to the other side. So left ear to the mat, right arm behind you. Again, if this is not for you, just stay in a centered traditional child's pose. And then back to center. We're going to walk the hands in towards us. I'm going to pull my knees in towards each other. And then I'm going to just sit back on the heels for a moment. Fingertips to the earth behind you. And then tip back and just gently lift the knees. I'm going to slowly set the shins back down. Hands are coming forward to table. Tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. And then from here, you really can walk your feet or hands forward or back in whichever direction your block is. Like my block's up to the front. I'm going to walk my feet a little bit forward so I can get to my block easier. So it doesn't matter to me where you end up on your mat. We're in forward fold, Uttanasana. Let's inhale to monkey, Ardha Uttanasana. And then I'm going to bend into the knees because I want to be able to grab my block. And I'm going to bring it out in front of me, I don't know, roughly a foot, but we're going to have to play around with where we are on the mat. So I'm going to take my left foot, left. I'm thinking right, but I said left, so let's do left. I'm going to step that foot forward, bringing the ball of the foot up onto the edge of the block. I'm going to back my right leg up just a little bit. I want to be able to straighten both legs. Straighten in quotes. If they don't want to straighten, don't make them. So we're in pyramid with that front foot up on the block. Pull the right hip forward. You're going to feel that left hip shift. Yeah, I can feel that. And then if you're happy right here, and happy might be a relative term at the moment, stay here. If you want to add a little fold, you can do that. Just don't let the hips shift. Find your breath. Have some fun. Wiggle your toes. One more breath. If you're in a fold, come on out. Go ahead and slide that left foot back. Plant the right leg next to it so you can soften back into your fold. Find monkey. Hold it right there. Bend into the knees. Step the right foot forward. Get the ball of the foot on that block. Find your alignment. I need to back up my left leg a little bit. I'm going to try to straighten both legs. And then again, as the left hip moves forward, you should feel the right hip move back. You decide if there's a fold here. Perfect. Let's go ahead and get the right foot off of the block. Come back to forward fold. And then I'm going to bend into the knees. Plant your hands on the ground. Wiggle the feet out to the edges of the mat so we can sit down into Malasana. And guess what? You have a block right there. So put it behind you and sit on it for supported Malasana. The elbows gently open up the knees here. The spine is long. You're reaching from the root chakra to the crown. Perhaps you can close your eyes. If you need a second block or something that's a little taller, go ahead and grab it or sit on your blanket. And so I was going to say find your happy place, but I do realize this pose might not have one for some people. So do you think that that means this pose could be a great learning lesson as far as a bad habit mentally? Like, where is your head right now? If you are really just hating this and you're waiting for us to switch, how can we bring that horse back in? You know, where can we find the lesson? Where can we find something new in this pose, perhaps, that we hadn't noticed before? All right, all good. Release your hands. However it's easiest, we got to slide that block out from underneath us so we can sit back down. Perfect. Take it to Sukhasana or Siddhasana. Cross-legged or knees a little bit wider. Backs of the hands resting on the knees, and close your eyes. I want to take our focus to the breath. That is the easiest horse to control. We're going to empty the lungs completely. So feel the stomach pulling all the way in. Count your inhale. Slow, deep inhale. You count it to yourself. Exhale. I want you to keep inhaling to that number you counted. The exhale should be longer. Keep going. If you can switch to your Ujjayi breath, do so. If you're not sure what Ujjayi breath is, don't worry about it. Stay with your deep breath. We'll focus on Ujjayi in a different class. Let's do that one more time. Let go of the control, right? Feed the horse his reins. And then softly open the eyes. Let's find that bolster. Or your blanket would work as well. Especially, we're doing a supported back bend, so if you have back issues and you don't typically like to get into any type of back bend, your blanket would be a much better alternative. You'd feel something just slight underneath you, you know, encouraging an upwards movement of energy, but it wouldn't be as big as this bolster, right? So get the bolster right behind you, and then slowly lay back so that the head is on the ground. The shoulders are not resting on the bolster. I'm going to go ahead and straighten my legs out. In fact, I feel like crossing one ankle over the other, so you could do that as well. And as always, if you don't want to be here or you should not be upside down, remove the bolster, just enjoy being on the earth, or grab a block, add it as a pillow so that your head is not below your heart. That would work as well. And so while we're hanging out here with the eyes closed, I'm wondering if you could think about what you would like your story to be today. If you did cross one ankle over the other, go ahead and switch legs. And then let's pause to think about, well, if we have visualized this story that we would love to see unfolding for ourselves today, gotta ask you what's holding you back from achieving that story. And then let's go ahead and uncross the feet if you crossed them. I'm going to bend one knee for some support here. I'm getting my elbows up onto that bolster, and as I slowly lift my head to tuck my chin in, I'll be able to roll my way up. And then if you do have a bolster or your blanket or something nearby, let's just sit up on the edge of it. I'm going to take the legs into Sukhasana, cross-legged, hands resting on the knees, and then I'm going to go ahead and round out the spine, you know, like seated cat pose, but I think our spine needs a little break from that back bend. So just slump, round it out, drop the head, close your eyes. Imagine that you can breathe into the space between each rib. Couple more breaths here. Take full advantage of using the complete space in the lungs. And then imagine it's the very top of your head, the crown chakra, that lengthens you back up. So you're being pulled by the energy in the crown. Strong inhale. Loud exhale. Inhale the arms up. And exhale them to your heart. Close your eyes. Pause here. Breathe in peace. Breathe in balance. What I really want you to breathe in is, I want you to clear the way for you to create your story. So whatever you need to breathe in to diminish the obstacles that you thought of, that would be fabulous. And when you're ready, we'll release the hands. We're going to come off of that prop we're sitting on. and it's your turn to create what you want to on your mat for Shavasana. Use your props however it would most make you happy. Shavasana is you penning your own story. I would never want to tell you how to arrange your props or your body for Shavasana. You've got to be completely at ease. The whole body needs to feel supported and happy and acknowledged. You know, once you get all the way down to the mat and you close your eyes, there's this sigh of gratitude, right? So find that within your space. Close your eyes, and I will come back and get you in a moment. Well, a few moments. Ursula Le Guin wrote, "The unread story is not a story. It's little black marks on wood pulp. The reader reading it makes it live, a live thing, a story." You are the reader of your story. You happen to also be the author. So if your story is heading in a place that you're not happy with, dare to change it. Now take a slow, deep breath. Let it go. Invite some movement into the hands and the feet. Stretch your arms overhead. Stretch down through the toes. And when you're ready, we're going to release the arms, crossing the hands over the heart. Deep inhale through the nose. Cleansing exhale. The light in me bows to the light in you. And when I'm in that place in me and you're in that place in you, then we become one. Namaste.